quick intro here. So we filmed this episode back in February of 25. It's now beginning of December. So many months later, as I mentioned, due to my ADD struggles getting this released. But it's funny, back then I guess it was already the end of the NFL season, and the Bills had a much brighter future. My guest is from Buffalo, had a much brighter future than the Patriots going into this year. And now as we stand, the Patriots have beaten Buffalo and are actually about 3 games up on them with only 4 or 5 games to go. So I continue to give Phil the business about that. Otherwise, I just want to say, it's pretty amazing. Phil and I had never talked directly before this podcast. I think I say it during the podcast. We met through a sobriety community. He didn't share that often, so we didn't even really get to know each other well by just seeing each other sharing. I don't even know. We eventually connected on Instagram, sent a few messages, but that was it. I just can't emphasize enough how amazing it is that in recovery, through community, you just feel these instant connections with people and can have deeper conversations, which my mother always says, I don't even know what those are. But, on this, we don't talk about the meaning of life, but here's a guy I never even talked to. We talked for over an hour and we could have kept going. In fact, we do another hour on a part 2. And this one's nothing earth-shattering in terms of quotes. Phil was worried. He did have a ton of great inspirational quotes here, but I think it's a great example of just 2 guys kind of talking about life, not even the meaning of life, but just about life. And whereas before, this could have been a guy I grew up with, knew my whole life, but before recovery, and we had a phone call, we would have probably just talked about our jobs at a high level and his marriage and, that he's married, had a kid, but all just stuff at a very high level, and it would have been a 10, 15-minute conversation. So I just think that's pretty cool, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And then for those watching, I still just love the migration. Now I've learned stand further back from the camera. I hate myself in this video. My friend's like, don't talk about your parents or apologize. And I agree. Nobody should. But it's just personally, it's so hard for us to watch ourselves, listen to ourselves. And I hate this when I'm so close to the camera. It's stupid in the hat. I need a haircut. So I think it's just funny. But my sober mantra, who cares? So who cares? Enjoy. Thanks for watching and or listening. Hey, welcome to the Cappy Hour podcast with today's guest, Phil Martello. Hey, Phil.
What's going on, Cappy? Happy to be here, man.
All right. Hey, same here. First time we've talked live.
Yeah.
Which was also the case with my first 2 guests. It is just so amazing in sobriety. Your sober friends, you don't know as long, but you know them much deeper. At least we will in the course of this discussion. So
I don't know you, Cappy, but I follow you on social media and I feel like I know you.
Well, that is the goal. That is absolutely the goal. So yeah, I love it. We and we do know each other from Reframe, my first sober community. I since joined another one. But and we were talking, I said, how do we connect? Just seeing each other from sharing on calls. And Phil mentioned he heard me talking about my pizza place and my nickname being Cappy, although my shop wasn't called Cappy's, but he assumed it was, and there was one in Tampa as well. So thought I might have one down there, and we started messaging. And Phil's got a great social media as well that I enjoy following, and Bills fan. That's where I want to lead off. Hey, they say you should never compare. Comparison is a thief of joy, but if anyone can stay sober, it's a Bills fan.
I don't know about that. It was the hardest year, I think, to watch the Bills for me. It was the first year that I've not had a relationship with Labatt Blue or Labatt Blue Light during games. Go to a bar down here. It's called the Bills Backers Bar here in Tampa, and you have a bucket or 2 buckets. By the end of the game, you're having 6, 12 beers, and you're just like, no, this is normal. This is a Bills game, and definitely was an eye-opener this year. I switched to NAs and just seeing how many NAs I was having and just not waking up with a hangover the next day. But the stress of a Bills game. I don't play for the team. I don't know why I get stressed, but fandom's legit.
Absolutely. So what do you mean you don't know about that? I mean, it was kind of a joke anyway, but the joke was
Oh,
tough to
just
stay.
yeah, no, it was very tough to stay sober. It
All
was
right.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, they made a deep run. I'm 35 years old. I've never seen them in the Super Bowl. I mean, I was very young when they were in it last, so I don't have any memory of it. So, um, seeing them go as deep as they did this year, I was like, if they get to the Super Bowl, if there's a Super Bowl parade, it might be really tough to stay on the wagon if I have to go to a parade or, um, just watch them in the Super Bowl. The stress levels were high.
Wow. All
Hmm.
right. We need to drill down on that. But
Hmm.
I'm looking at, I purposely saved a Instagram photo of you from 600 weeks ago, but
Yeah.
that tells you how long. That says just one before I
Yeah,
died.
that's my dad and I on the back deck, and that's what I was saying this year. I'm like, he's 65. I don't know how, like, he's in good health, but I don't know how much longer he's got left. You just like to see just one before we die. Bills Mafia is a fantastic fan base. They are crazy about the Bills. They brave sub-zero elements just to watch their team play. I used to go to games and half the stadium would be full, but since Josh Allen came in and they've kind of turned it around, it's a must see ticket, and the tailgating has just grown exponentially.
Yeah, man. I feel your pain. I have
Hmm.
to, you just reminded me, I went with my family to an amusement park on a Sunday, so I recorded the game. I always try not to find out the score, but I'd found out the Pats beat the Bills, but they had come back in the Brady days. And I have to say, I got a little bit of pleasure watching the fans going berserk when they were winning pretty much the entire game, knowing that they were going to lose,
Hmm.
which is a little bit of Schadenfreude, but I did kind of enjoy that. And I want to say I heard before Josh Allen, at least, something like Tom Brady has the most wins of any QB in Buffalo
Yeah, yeah,
Stadium or whatever.
yeah. He was 30. I want to say he was 33-3 against the Bills or something crazy like that. And he had 17 wins in our stadium. I say our stadium like I play for the team, but
Yeah,
winning as QB since like 2000 in the Bills stadium until Josh Allen came in,
that's crazy.
which is
So
sad,
again, to
really
clarify
sad.
for people, including the Bills quarterbacks,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's
including the
insane.
Bills. Well, we had a really good list of quarterbacks. We had Trent
Right.
Edwards, J.P. Lossman, Kelly Holcomb, Thad Lewis,
Doug Flutie.
E.J. Manuel. It was just there were some dark
Yeah,
times, man.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And we can get off this, but I'll just say I have a buddy who Cubs fan from Chicago, and he was so happy his mother got to see
Yeah,
a World Series. And
yeah.
unlike the Red Sox, I guess they're going to be one and done because
Yeah.
I don't think they made much noise since.
I think it's
But
just cautious optimism is my it's me and my buddy, we just say cautious optimism every year. We don't want to get too high, we don't want to get too low, just stay in
yeah,
this area and we feel like we're safe.
it's funny. I was just saying that as it applies to sobriety and
Hmm.
in life, they always say you should never get too high or too low. But I am definitely too high right now, man.
Are
I'm
you?
coming up. I'm like less than 20 days from a year, and I am. And I on top of the 3.5 years I had 10 years ago. I feel like because all those sober days combined, it builds up that resilience. Every day you're sober, you're doing hard things sober, even if it's just getting through the day. So speaking of which, you know, my goal of this podcast is not to do like just interview the person on their
Yeah.
life story because people don't, certain. It just will come out in the course of this. But
Yeah.
so sometimes I don't even start on this. But in your case, I really don't know. I mean, how many days do you actually have? And yeah, what's the
Yeah.
longest you've had? Yeah.
I'm on the longest I've had every minute, every hour. I just know
Yes.
that. Thank you. I just know that I'm pushing further and further. I think I shared on my Instagram the other day as I was getting ready to chat with you. I'm like, I wonder how long it's been. I shared 100 days when I had 100 on my social. I think I had 268 a couple days ago. So I want to say I'm probably at 270 now. I know it's less than 100 days to a year, which is really incredible. I never thought I would get to 100. When I started, I was like, we're just going to take it day by day. I'm not much of a planner. Um, I had failed a lot just like with this same strategy. And my wife found out she was pregnant, and I was like, this is the time to make a change.
I saw that post. Now that you mention, I think I even give you kudos. You know what I always
Yeah.
wonder? I think it's funny when people that don't post it all the time, and then they don't post a mouse, even an odd, even number, like
Yeah.
270. But you just felt motivated that day, or it popped up,
Hmm.
and you just said, "I'm going to share it."
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah.
Cappy, there's times where you feel a little high, a little low. I think I was just feeling like the stress of being a new dad, and just my wife, struggling with recovery from a C-section. I mean, it's a major surgery. Baby's not sleeping much, and I'm like, I could use a pick me up. I joined Reframe for some type of community back when we were on it, and since I'm not on it anymore, um, I feel proud to share it in my social media community. I mean, there are people who I used to hide my sobriety and like
Mhm.
fake drink beers, or like pour NAs into clear cups just so it looked like I was drinking. So I've come from faking the drinking so I didn't have to have that conversation, to sharing my journey, because the more I've shared, the more you realize there's so many people who are trying to cut back or trying to completely stop drinking. So um, yeah, I just was having a low couple hours, low day, and it's like, let me see who I can talk with. And there were so many people who sent me clapping emojis in my DMs, or just sent me positive words of encouragement, or shared their story as well. So that's 268 felt like a good day for me to do that.
That's awesome. Do
Yeah.
you, speaking of which, I meant to ask you in advance, but you want to give out, I know it's not a pure sobriety page, but you want to give out your handle?
Oh, it's Martello, my last name, Martello 16. You're gonna see a lot of Bill's content, a lot of Bill's stories. And then just in the age of social media, like we just had our kid, he just hit 3 weeks. We haven't shared any photos. We're trying to be private about creating a social media footprint. So my social will be evolving in the next couple years as I figure out what my next chapter looks like in life, and then on social media.
Yeah, that's great. And I looked through, I saw you did some traveling, which I'd love to discuss,
Yeah.
maybe not today, but
Yeah.
including Boston. I asked him
Boston.
prior to this picture at Fenway Park, where I'm based. So
Yeah. Yeah. It
was
was
glad to
tough.
see that.
Traveling's tough too with sobriety, Cappy. Like, went to Japan, wanted to really,
That's right.
yeah, wanted to try all the local drinks. They had Sapporo, they had sake, and just so many different types of alcohol to try, and I didn't do it. So it was fairly new in my sobriety journey, and I'm like, am I missing out? I felt like I was missing out too. Like, I had convinced myself that I may not have had as much fun because I wasn't drinking.
Right.
Yeah.
But hey, what I always think about is just, especially traveling, waking up sober is
Yeah.
just so, you
Yeah.
you can never sleep in when you're traveling. So it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
friggin' great.
Yeah. Anxiety was real, man. It was the anxiety of just like dread in your bed and being like, why did I drink that much last night? Or it's noon already and I've done nothing with my day and I have a massive headache. The anxiety used to get me.
Dread in your bed. I love
Dread
it.
in the bed, yeah.
Never heard that one.
Yeah.
I like to talk about, there's actually a lot of, for me, parallels between my drinking days and sobriety, including passing out on the couch
Oh,
and not being able to get out of bed. But in this case, just the last few days, so goddamn comfortable. And I have the luxury at the moment that I don't have to be up at a certain time. So now I keep my room super cold, since I don't have a woman to force me to
yeah.
keep it at 70. And that's not
Mhm.
sexist. That's every woman I've ever dated has wanted it way warmer than I have. And so yeah, I have to drag myself out of bed. But
That's good though.
it's
That's good
good.
that
I
you're
was just gonna
comfy.
say,
Yeah.
sober problems are like, the old first world problems. They're a good
Mhm.
problem to have, including
Mhm.
my little coffee addiction, which
Yeah.
we talked at the outset. And anyone watching this is going to see me taking continual sips.
Yeah.
And what's your stance with, you said you do the same, but I find
Yeah.
I still kind of use it. I used alcohol to cheat the system, as kind of, almost in some ways a way to also pass the time, etc.
Mhm.
And I still do it with coffee. Every time before I go to share, I chug like
Really?
half calf.
Yeah.
Chug's a strong word, but I definitely start sipping right up until my share
Mhm.
starts. No need of it. All I need
Yeah.
is water. I'm high energy naturally,
Yeah.
especially in sobriety.
Yeah.
So how do you purely drink it for enjoyment?
Coffee?
Yeah.
Coffee, I've been drinking probably 16 years now. I don't know. I don't know why I started drinking coffee, but now I can't go without it. I get headaches without it, so it's definitely an addiction. I take it black. I do 8 cups in the morning, and then yeah, yesterday was a lot. It was I got a baby keeping me up at night, so 2 cold brews yesterday in addition to it. So there's definitely caffeine. I don't know if it's an addiction, but right now I'm definitely using a lot of caffeine.
Well, I might have misheard you. Did you say 8 cups?
I don't know. It's just like the 8 things on the side. I don't know. Is that cups?
Oh, you'd do the homemade
Yeah,
machine thing. All
yeah.
right.
So I don't know what
I
that.
was actually going to clarify what you meant by cups. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
I don't know. It's a Mike Wazowski mug, and it gets me 2 Mike Wazowski mugs.
All right. I more go per mug because, yeah, I
Yeah,
do the K cups thing. So I
yeah.
had to make sure, like,
No,
I don't even think that's possible no matter what your tolerance
no,
is.
no,
Just to
no.
get sick of it.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
so very interesting.
Yeah.
But
And
do
then
you
like
find,
LaCroix has been the new one for me too, like um, or sparkling water in itself.
yeah,
I've replaced booze with something else that at least I think takes the edge off or feels like I'm drinking, not like drinking, but just like still having fun. For me, a lot of drinking was just having fun, and I had a good time when I was doing it. And uh, yeah, I don't know, just trying to search for that same feeling.
interesting you say that because I've looked, a lot of people recommend those different kinds of waters that have whatever CBD in them or
Yeah,
hop water. First, I read the reviews. They're
yeah,
so split. Some people say they do nothing for them, and I feel like I'd be one of those. And then secondly, I said, I think I know I'm just high on life now. I mean, if
yeah.
you're just patient, I'm high on life. I really don't need anything. I bought Gia, I think it's called GHIA. It was off of Shark Tank, one of my rare impulse Shark Tank purchases. And of course, to get the best deal, I had to buy like the 2 good-sized bottles. I never even drank. I never finished the first, and then the second one I just had to throw out because I
Really?
didn't. I only waited. The only time I really drink it is if I had a dinner date over and felt like it to look like a cocktail. But
Hmm.
I date a lot of international women. They're not big drinkers. It's
Yeah,
it's way different than
yeah.
American. And I
Hmm.
discovered even if I do want to drink, I'll drink NA beer. I mean, that's
Yeah,
sort of like the coffee effect. It
yeah.
makes me feel like I'm cheating the system in some way, and I do
Hmm.
kind of pound them or catch myself pounding them for no
Hmm.
reason.
Hmm.
I'm sort of like decaf coffee. What am I doing? I'm getting
Yeah,
nothing out of this. Um, but it
yeah.
really helped me through. I once had a really boring dinner date at my place, a first date, but she didn't speak any English. So I said, come here, we'll use Translate. And I've done that before, and it can still go well. But if it wasn't going to go well in English, it really won't go well when you need Translate. And I must have pounded 4 NA beers over the course of an hour and a
You're doing
half.
first dates at your house, man?
Yeah, I know that sounds really strange to people. Um I don't I haven't dated a lot of American women.
Yeah.
They're more my type. I'm more attracted to international women, and they're very fun and
Hmm.
interesting. And a lot of it, yeah, I think they're brought up not relying on alcohol to have fun.
Hmm.
They're just naturally fun. Even their social medias, they're funny
Yeah.
as well. And I don't find that a lot. But yeah, a lot of them do not speak English. And I say, listen, it's just easier. We need to use Translate that you can put it in conversation mode right on the table. I hit a button to speak and then it spits it out in their language and vice versa.
Oh.
And I know it sounds funny and it sounds like, oh, who would come to your house that's like got to be automatic going to fourth base, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I give
I
you
might
credit.
have thought that.
That's a big leap to take. That's
Yeah,
you're already probably not in your comfort zone. It's a first date, not a blind date, but you're meeting someone for the first time, and then you're not even speaking the same language. So that takes some stones.
I'm glad you say that. All right, we're gonna talk about me for a second. So I wanted to add something first to that. Ah, shoot, I think it jumped out, but that apparently have a very trusting demeanor. There's so many creeps out there, but I think they get a good vibe from me
Hmm.
right off the bat because they have to be very trusting. And I will
Yeah.
say, hey, I'll meet you at the parking lot. We can talk until you feel comfortable. Here's all my social media. When I
Hmm.
owned the pizza shop, I said the same thing. Here's my shop, so I'm a business owner. And then I say I live in a condo building where there's multiple neighbors. So because it is very trusting on their part.
Yeah.
But you're right, man. I used to have dinner dates when I lived. I'm now 30 minutes outside of Boston. I used to live in the Back Bay, right near the Prudential Center, not a mile from Fenway. So in a beautiful brownstone condo, that it was very easy to say, "Hey, why don't you come to my place for dinner?" Even
Hmm.
English speaking ones.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd meet them out on the first date, but second date, come to my place for dinner. And I would drink like a fish, man, a fish, starting an hour before.
Pre-game.
And pregame, of course, man. I couldn't turn a burner on without already having started to drink,
Mm.
and I would just have to start an hour early. Probably sometimes, I mean, going back 20 years, I was briefly married to my first long-term girlfriend, 2 years, no kids. And then I got on Match.com when it was just taking off. And that started a horrible pre-drinking habit that I would still have to this day until I quit. But quickly on that, so, by starting an hour plus early, as we know, it only works for 20 minutes. It's the only anxiety pill that works for 20 minutes and then makes it worse. Yet
Yep.
we still take it every day or every night. And so by the time they'd show up, I would have to go in a double time with doing shots or
Really?
chugging beer. And it was just a complete disaster. But I would be so out of it, I wouldn't feel the discomfort. So yes, that is very much now a hard thing sober, man. And
Really? Yeah.
and I'm so strong now, I can buy them alcohol, not only buy it for them, I can keep it in the fridge after because I'm thrifty. One I bought Bailey's for, big thing of it. She only drank half. I kept the thing in for months until I finally had another date that was interested in it. And wine. I had one. She only drank about 2 sips of wine and then didn't feel well. I saved the whole bottle. I left it in there for 2 weeks and then threw it away. This was 6 months ago. So, and I'll tell you one more. I didn't tell her in advance I didn't drink, and I really wanted her to drink, and I didn't want to ruin it. I faked a sip, maybe 2, and then just spit it out while I was prepping dinner. I actually put it in my mouth and then spit it out to make it look like I wasn't drinking.
Committed to the bit.
Yes, and that's how once I make up my mind, Robert Downey Jr. says, at first I took issue with this. He said, not drinking isn't the hard part. Making the decision to never drink again. And that is kind of true because I try to, coach people all the time, and they say there's a big difference between wanting to quit and being really committed to it and doing the work.
Did you find, so you were more of an everyday binger, everyday drinker?
Every day, between 5 to 7 days a week. My pizza shop was my biggest trigger. It was closed Monday, Tuesday. I would try not to drink Monday, Tuesday, but I also had my golf league on Monday nights. So that would be a trigger. But even in the winter, loneliness would be a trigger. So it was rare that I'd end up drinking 7 days a week. How about you?
I was more, if something was going on, it was tough for me to have less than 6. So if it's just me and my wife at the house, it was never like I'm drinking unless I'm watching. It was Syracuse basketball, a Sabres game, or a Bills game. And then it was like I'm softball league, golf league. Those were the triggers. And so it was more probably like three nights a week, but Ubering home and then having to drive back to the bar and pick up my car the next day. Just that it got to a certain point where I was like spending $50-$60 in Ubers every week, which is way cheaper than a DUI. But then you have to say, hey, Katie, I was too dumb to just like be able to nurse a couple beers. You have to drive me back downtown at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. That's how we have to start our day. And it got to a point where she was like, no, you're going to have to Uber back there because I'm not spending my first hours of my day taking you back to your car. So, that's, it just was very easy to get out of hand very quickly. My buddy and I used to call it spiraling. We would just spiral after Bills games, and who knew what was going to happen after that. Yeah.
It's crazy. And condolences on the Sabres as well. We don't even talk about them, but at least they don't even get your hopes up, right?
No. But if they win 8 straight, they might be in a wild card spot. So they haven't won more than like 4 straight all year, but all the Sabres fans are delusional, saying it's the quest for 10 in a row, and they've won 2 in a row already. So 8 more, and they might be in a playoff spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, I shouldn't even laugh there. That is
it's a sad life. It's a sad life. That's why the Bills mean so much right now.
Oh, they got to do it.
So what do you do on your? So is it still matched? Do you just not put in like a language filter, or you just don't have any? You don't care who you get up with, and it's a barrier that you're willing to try and overcome?
Yeah, great question. And before I answer it, I do a couple related things. One, I remember now when I was in the Back Bay, I got it down to 6 days a week, and I never drank on Sundays. I loved sober Sunday nights on the couch. It was the only time I could enjoy being on the couch.
Really?
Every other night, I'd start drinking between noon and every other day, noon and
Really?
4 p.m. Thinking I was going to be productive on my computer. Before I know it, I'm goofing off on social media. Before I know it, it's 10 o'clock and I haven't even eaten dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got to enjoy being on the couch watching TV. I still to this day can't get around to Netflix. But then I remember I was job searching, and to even deal with I do it on Sundays, and I couldn't even do that without drinking, and awful. I'm kind of a writer as well. I don't do it actively, but they say creative people, like comedians, that's why they're all alcoholics. You get it in your head. You cannot be creative without drinking. I mean, you think you can't do anything without drinking, but that was one of them. If I wanted to, and you might be like, what's creative about that? It was like send creative cover letters or whatever. Although even
Good for you, man. I don't do cover letters anymore.
Really?
I mean, get out of here. No, I'm giving you a resume. Half these places, I just got a new job, which is great, but the application process is just so obnoxious. Here, submit your resume, but also fill out everything that's in your resume on this website, and then do a cover letter, and then give us references, and then maybe if you're lucky, we'll send you an assignment to do before your interview.
Yep. Yeah, that's brutal. But they say, my buddy is a big hiring manager, and he says, he largely doesn't hire off the resume. And
Really?
I have another buddy, a bigwig at Amazon AWS, their cloud. Amazon hires almost exclusively off of your story.
Really?
Experience
I believe
means
it.
very little. So I always try to, and I haven't applied for a job in a long time. The pizza shop, this is a great expression. I didn't fit into the corporate world anymore.
Yeah.
And I basically bought myself a job.
Yeah.
How great is that expression, man?
That's awesome.
That's what I did. And it's sad because I had sold my condo in the Back Bay for a very nice profit, and I would have been better off doing nothing, or had I known entering the sobriety world 6 years ago. But instead, I bought a friggin' pizza shop. People warned me not to. More so because my buddy's like, dude, you're going to work your butt off and not make close to what you would have made doing anything else. And they were right. But the big thing, if someone had told me, it is not a place for people pleaser and or perfectionist. And especially when the pizza shop is 50 yards from a liquor store.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was going in job searching at Wegmans. You might know them. I want to say they're based
Wegmans.
in Buffalo area, Upper Rochester. They have it's a super, for those who know, the supermarket. What do you call it? Super grocery store. Yeah. There's a better term for it, but not like a BJ's, but in between a grocery store and a BJ's. And they have an enormous liquor section. Every day I would go in there to job search. They have a huge coffee shop where you felt like you could sit forever. Start with coffee. Before I knew it, I was doing that out-of-body experience walk. I need a term for like walk of shame, but out-of-body walk. Anyway, down the escalator to the liquor section.
No.
Buy vodka, take it into the bathroom, fill my water bottle or whatever it was I would put in there. I can't remember, whatever I had. And I will tell you, man, every day I enjoyed that first 20 minutes, but then that was it. It was it. And I was back in buzz limbo and not applying to jobs, goofing off, walking around the mall, walking around Wegmans, decided I wanted to work at Wegmans. I looked around and said, these people are all so social with each other. I'm checking my mind. I think I want to work there. I didn't make the phone screen.
No way.
A 20-year-old kid because I didn't have recent management experience. I once was even a inside sales director.
Really?
Yeah, I just applied. I picked a department. I love seafood, so I applied to be the seafood department manager. Didn't even get an interview. I would have been the best employee they ever had, aside from maybe the drinking problem. But instead, I bought a pizza joint.
So what? So you would do a couple shots or do your vodka and then go to the pizza shop, or?
No. So this was before. This is while I was job searching.
Okay.
If anything, I would go in the pizza shop on my way home, and the guy there the owner was frantic every time I went in there. And by the way, it's down the street from where I lived, like less than a mile. Unbelievable pizza. I never thought I'd find better than in Boston, Pizza Regina especially. The guy was so frantic. I said, do you need help? And he said, yes. I thought I'd just help run his social media, which I always wanted to do, and help him hire. Before I know it, the guy just wanted to get out Little did I know why. And he wanted to get out cheap. And I came out the same way 5 years later. So no, but I had a month or so before it was going to close. And I said, I knew the liquor store was there in case anyone's like, why would you buy a pizza shop by a liquor store? I thought I could beat it. I go, I got a month to beat this thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how crazy the thinking was. And who knows if that wasn't there, well, I still would have drank, but not as some nights I wouldn't have the option. It was right before COVID. We got so slammed, but if I wouldn't go there with alcohol, but no matter how slammed we were, it took me less than 5 minutes round trip. So no matter how hard I planned not to drink, we were getting slammed on a Friday, I would just bomb over there, get my vodka, and come back. And I'm not a pot smoker, and a lot of us don't seem to be. I'd love to discuss that probably another day, but I tried it once. I got so baked. I haven't heard that term in a while. I was out of it. My employees all knew.
Really?
I could not process a thing they were saying. Not a thing. So
last time I smoked, I was crawling around my bedroom floor having a panic attack. So I'm like, I'm good on this. It's not for me. And that's when I leaned into booze probably even more, man.
Yep. Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
with you, is it like, for me, a lot of the trouble or the reason why I stopped, or at least what I was telling myself, is my wife was holding me accountable. Like, she was someone who I wanted to make sure I was protecting that relationship. For you, you find yourself like you're the person you have to answer to, right? Like, for me, I'm like, a lot of those days with the anxiety, I would feel shame, not only personal shame, but then like I've let someone else down. So I feel like you carried a lot of that personally.
Yeah, it's interesting because people always say you can't quit for someone else. You only can quit for yourself. But I'm thinking, I think a lot of people kind of quit because they have to if they want to save their marriage. I guess it's a combination. But yes, it's all the harder. You have no dependence. You have nobody. The thing's 0.7 miles down the street. I could technically walk, like, because in Boston, when I moved into Boston, that just kicked it up because I never had to drive. I'd like to say I never drove the 0.7 miles, but
Yep.
but yeah, so I had my biggest incentive was to stop was I knew I've always been haunted by my potential, and I knew drinking was holding me back from that potential. I once had a girlfriend in Boston. She said, "I don't think your drinking problem's that bad," and I said, "That's because it wasn't. I wasn't one of those mean or crazy drunks. In fact, I was Irish. I was an Irish Exeter. I know we kind of all were, but I mean, I was every single night. I wasn't. I wasn't one of those that drank to the second they went to bed and stuff. I just drank till I got obliviated and then pieced out. So, but my point, you mentioned the anxiety, and it'd be funny if for those who have never heard the term, once you hear it, we hear it all the time in sober communities, but it's such a great term.
Yeah.
And so every morning I was wasted. I just talked to a guy, a college buddy last night. He goes, I think I was maybe working a day and a half a week. And he had like a real corporate job, and same here. The morning's completely wasted. Even physically, I pounded water, so I didn't get that hungover physically, but mentally, forget about it. So that was my biggest thing. And reframe was big on what's your why. And I said, my why is winning. I want to win again. I once quit for 3.5 years, 11 years ago, went back, tried to drink normally, and that's been 6 years ago. But I was winning, although I was not having fun. The good news about the relapse was I did it this time in community and doing the work, and now I feel permission to enjoy life sober. But still, I was winning life. I got a job way over my head. I got out of sales, got my Salesforce certification, and I joined a tennis club. I was doing Bikram hot yoga, and I was winning. I was winning life, and I was like, I want to win again, and I am. So, what is your whys? Got to be related to your family, but
yeah. I mean, definitely family related, but I also had a job at a sheriff's office here in town. That was my last role in a public relations. Like, I'm not a deputy. If something happens, call 911. I'm not protecting or saving anyone. But I just knew that I didn't want to be a headline. I'd seen enough headlines of DUIs or just people making dumb decisions when they're drunk. And so that was like my primary motivation of just like, I've seen enough people screw up their life. I've gone to enough DUI accidents. So that was first. And then, like I said, it was the family, starting the family, just wanting to be I think kind of like you, accountable to myself though, like show that I can do this. And maybe I didn't realize that I like that you're saying you're winning again. Because for me, I'm like, no, I'm still stuck in a mindset of, am I missing out on things? Am I, um, my friends are going out to a bar, they're out till 1, 2 in the morning making memories together. Am I missing out on those memories? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but like, yeah, that's the hardest part, I think.
Yeah, and I laugh because technically they are, except they are and they're not, right?
Yeah.
Because how much are they remembering?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many concerts do you remember? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
just telling my nephew we're going to see the Lumineers.
Are you?
Yeah, he's 18 maybe now, and he asked me to get tickets for him and a date, and I said, "Oh man, I love them too." So yeah, I got 4 tickets. And but my point, I told him, he knows about my sobriety, and I said, "Man, I saw the Rolling Stones with the Black Eyed Peas once. Luckily, it was early enough in the night that I still remember Fergie walking right by me. Happened to just be back there buying beer.
Yeah.
She walked right by me. That was a thrill. But I don't remember a thing about the Stones. If you asked me if I saw the Stones, I would say technically no. If I hadn't just remembered that they were with them or whatever. I do not remember seeing Mick Jagger. Let's just say that. And I saw the Dave Matthews Band and a few others. So now I'm psyched to do a sober concert. And I once, in that 3.5 years I quit, I was on the floor at the Boston Garden for U2. And it was awesome, man. It was awesome. Just as good in sobriety. So
yeah.
You know,
I see them that they're out at the Sphere in Las Vegas. They did the residency out there. You too. Have you seen the Sphere?
Oh yeah, I wanted to go to that.
Dude, it looks so cool. It looks really cool. You're talking about feeling like remembering concerts, and I think I've finally gotten to a point where watching sports, I think, is better sober for a good chunk of the football season. Even going to Lightning games down here, you know, my friends are still crushing beers, and I've become a fan of the Athletic NAs, so like I'll have a couple of those. And I think probably pretty recently is when I finally started realizing, like, no, it's better to remember these games. It's better to not spend half of it waiting in line for a urinal at intermission.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I got some friends down here who give me shit because they say, how many recoins do you have from Reframe? They would give you your little check-ins and you get recoins. And they're like, oh, you're going to pay for your beer and recoins? So they just like to give me a hard time.
That's funny. Yeah. That's crazy, the guys that give you that. Some that don't get it. You know, a woman was just talking about that. So many people just, why can't you just...
I have the Heineken Zeros and they're like, you're going to be all right to drive after this? Yeah, I'm going to be all right, you pricks.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, those NA beers, I say they taste just like regular beer without the annoying buzz.
Yeah.
You know, and another guy says without the hangover. You know, Guinness Zero is phenomenal.
Awful.
What do you mean? What?
I hate it.
Why?
That's disgusting. I'm not a Guinness guy though, man.
Oh,
like I'm more of a light beer guy.
It tastes the same as I'm saying. Like, it's amazing, but it tastes just like Guinness.
Yeah. I went to Ireland and hated the Guinness. So, I mean, that's how I know I'm not a Guinness guy.
Oh, I was going to say, I saw your post on that, and I thought it even said, like, maybe I read it quickly, but it said it tastes even better at the brewery. But
yeah, you know what social media is. That was like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. You got to be like, oh, no, this is the best thing in the world.
True. I did the Heineken tour in Amsterdam, and it does seem a lot better at the real brewery.
The source.
Yes, but we don't want to romanticize it, and I don't miss it, man. I cringe now when I see people drinking on TV, especially vodka or hard alcohol. But I did want to. There's so many things. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2, if not a part 3. But and the dating, I do want to come back to. But there's so many things we just hit on. One, I want to say, we're talking about you getting an Uber home and having to get driven back to your car, and I applaud that. Do you know, prior to the Uber days, although Uber might have even existed, but I had a buddy, sales rep. I covered Canada for a while, believe it or not, and there was a rep up there, Ari was his name. He would, because he was already downtown, he would already have his car, but he was a big drinker. He had a service that two guys would come in one car, and one would drive his car home, and then they would leave together. So they drove. It couldn't have been cheap.
Brilliant business model.
Couldn't have been. Yeah, the only thing stopping it would have been the cost. But that is a brilliant business model.
Yeah. Wake up, you got your
Um,
car the next day.
but people
I don't know
are,
too, like when you're hammered, the thought of leaving your car downtown or somewhere else just feels so irrational. You're like, no, I've got to get it home. I've got to get it home. So dumb. Like looking back, it's the dumbest argument that there is.
yeah,
Like you said,
I,
this 0.7 miles. I think we've all kind of don't love talking about that. We've done it once or twice or here or there. But um, yeah, just like now that I have come out of it, it's like it's so much easier and cheaper to not think about driving, you know?
yeah, yes. Oh, I love it now, man. I drive like a maniac. Now I always did, but well, no. When I would drive under the influence, good news is I would drive like a church lady. I
Yeah.
know some people that's not the case. I think more so the ones that really shouldn't be driving. But
Mm-hmm.
I would drive so cautiously. And as an example, I would never take a right on red under the
Mm-hmm.
influence. But now, I hate right on reds at night. There should be hours on those things. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
sit at a light at 10 o'clock at night. So I'm going to risk getting pulled over. So
yeah.
yeah, I will do
Well,
stuff like that all the
there's
time.
no traffic laws in Florida, so right on reds are just they're just like suggestions.
And
Um,
I'll even, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, ironically, I went to a Bills game this year. I was the DD for my buddies. They all got after it, and first time not drinking at a Bills game and then driving home. Like even if I was driving at those, like I probably wasn't getting hammered if I was driving, but um, freaking first time doing it sober, took a left, ran right into a sign right in front of a deputy, and I'm like, he's like, I don't want to ask how much you've been drinking, and I'm like, I can't even. I've drank nothing, and it was just ironic that the first time I've done it completely sober, I get in my first accident at a Bills game. So
Wow.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what did you hit a sign?
I,
Did I hear?
I hit yeah, just took a left onto a street. It was like a sign blocking half of the road, and I don't know. I was looking at people walking down the street. I get really distracted when I drive.
Yeah.
Um, just nail the sign right in front of a deputy. Sign falls over. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got pulled over once. I went around a car that was driving really slowly, so we came up to a stop sign and I blew around him. Yeah, it's a cop on his way home.
No.
So he pulls me over, all pissed off. And luckily I was on a break from drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so happy. And the guy yanked me out of the car. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I had a bag on my lap of pink pills. It was Benadryl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only thing that works for my allergies. And I keep them in a little pocket in my car. And I must have just pulled it out that I was going to take one right when that happened. So we saw the pink pills that apparently gave him justification. He yanked me out of my car, searched my entire car. And I was like,
That's the
go ahead,
probable
buddy.
cause, man.
Yeah. I was like, you got nothing. Yeah, I guess you'd know. But I was never so happy. And then another time I got pulled over and I'm like, buddy, hey, there's a time I would have been half in the bag. I'm embarrassed to say it, but hey, I'm sober. Write me a ticket. The guy was like, hey, have a good night.
Yep.
So that's the way I am now. And that's when I
Yeah.
say, not only do I go the right on red, if it's late at night, is no one, I'll just blow right through a light,
Yeah.
et cetera. Because, and there's so many cautious drivers that just sit. So yeah, I blow around people. But anyway, back to that service was amazing. The 2-car. I got to Google that because I think I did. I don't know that because Uber could add that. Right. Well, yeah, it might be a little complicated. So, but I applaud people.
Working with a friend or something.
Yeah. You could probably get couples to do it though. There's a lot of couples that do delivery together, as I learned from the pizza business. I would love, my goal of all this is to reduce the stigma, educate the world, including physicians. Whole nother topic I was just having, but physicians are so uneducated. They never seem to recommend anti-abuse, the medication that you can't drink on. And one of them is and I want to be big alcohol enemy number one, and figure out a better way of PR campaigns, etc., of getting people to not drive drunk. Because anytime, any bar, that at least 50%, and that's, I want to say 75,
generous. Yeah.
They are by default, unless they're drinking one drink an hour, technically they are drinking and driving. By the way, I read Utah lowered their, I even cringe at this, kind of to 0.5. They lowered the limit. You know,
No way.
it was 0.1 growing up. Now it's 0.8 in most states. 0.5. I mean, that's like having speed limit at 50 on the highway. I mean, that to me almost. But anyway, they could have a trap. What do they call them? A sobriety trap outside of every single bar. I know in my hometown. I know hometown. Two guys left in one car from a golf event, and the driver wrapped the car within a mile, drove right into a tree and killed the passenger.
Jeez.
So every golf event, those owners really need to be. I don't know what they can do, other than at least say, hey, should you be driving? Just put somebody out there saying, are you okay to drive? Are you okay to drive? I don't know. I know people never want to give their keys up. I'll never forget 20 years ago at a job, we went out after, and this guy was hammered. We tried to get his keys. He wouldn't take no for an answer. And I said he's going to get a DUI that night. And he got a DUI that night, man. And he killed someone that quasi would have been on us. So anyway, I could go on forever. But Justin Timberlake just attempted unofficial PSA. But again, he went over the top, almost like having the limit too low. He said, even if you have one drink, call an Uber. It's like, no one's going to do that. But it's like, you got to have a plan. Just like we need a plan to not drink.
Yeah.
You're going to a bar. As I said to someone, what are you supposed to do? If you know you're going to drink, what are you going to, especially in the burbs, you have to take an Uber 3 to 10 miles, maybe more, to the bar, and then an Uber home. There's really no great solution for going to a bar if you don't live in a city. Yeah. But something's got to be done.
I'll say my buddy who's a deputy, went to college with him, moved down to Tampa. We're very tight. He'll Uber to and from games at this point. Like, he doesn't even risk it, even driving a car down. He doesn't put himself in that situation. So if you don't have if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Is that what they say?
Yeah. But no one even thinks about it. It's not even talked about. So that's why PSAs you might question the value of, but eventually it's going to get through. It's like, drives me nuts. My buddy said, oh, it does no good for parents to lecture their kids on drinking, especially if alcohol's in the family. I'm like, warn them. You know, they're going into an abusive relationship that you have been in your whole life. Warn them. He's like, they're not going to hear the message. I'm like, you'd be surprised. It'll be at least in the back of their mind. So, but if we can't even get $1 million celebrities or athletes to do it, I do have a theory on that though. They don't want to lose the privacy, and also, money aside, people don't want to give up the control. So there's so many issues to getting people to take Ubers. I mean, as you probably know, the NFL, you can call anywhere in the world and they'll send a car. But who wants to do that? They probably think they're going to be on some report somewhere, you know, on file, like the Mitchell report, baseball reference. But so there's no great. So I was even like, why can't every car have an interlock device? But that would never work. There's so many technical issues.
If they can put seatbelt alarms and those annoying seatbelt beeps, they should be able to do something.
You would think in this day and age, but I was just talking to a woman whose husband had the interlock or whatever, the breath, you know, the breathe, and he had a bunch of problems with it. So the freedom people, what's that?
No, I was going to switch it and ask you something else.
The freedom people would never allow it, but I'm going to figure this thing out. Bottom line, America. Go ahead.
I trust you. When did you start? Like, when did your drinking start? So for me, it was, I feel like even ingrained, love my parents, but I feel like it was ingrained in me at a young age where I played hockey growing up, and they would say like, oh, we don't hang out with those parents because they're not drinkers. They don't drink. They're no fun. And I feel like it started when I was, 10 years old, maybe, where I would hear those things. And, my dad was never hammered or anything around me, but there was always booze in the house. But just, I think I got so comfortable around it in my childhood. Again, love my parents. I don't hold anything against them. They did a good job, I think. But just like, that's something that I always look back on and be like, yeah, they always used to say they don't hang out with those people because they're not drinkers.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. And when did you first drink?
Oh, God. Oh, sophomore year of high school, probably. I don't know. 16, 15. First time was a game of, not beer pong, vodka pong. Loved, 2 games of vodka pong, and I don't think I ate food for another 2 days, just like puking for 2 days straight. So that was probably the first time.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm lucky. I was an elite a cross country and track runner.
Mm.
And I knew back then that it was poison. I had to have, because I knew I would never take a sip while I was a runner. And so it wasn't until, and it's ironic, my brother and sister used to love to sip my parents' drinks. I'll never forget my father. I've always meant to confirm this, but I think it was a whiskey sour.
Mm.
They would love to take sips off of, and maybe their beer. I didn't like the taste, is the other reason. I did not like the taste. But so it wasn't until 3 months into college when the cross country season ended. I went to Providence, which is pretty really good running school, and but they were all from Ireland, and it was I've never fit in anywhere, and I definitely didn't in high school and college. Including, you'd think I would have on the running team. They were all from Ireland. It was like a different language. I honestly couldn't even understand half the guys. So, and we were running 12 miles a day, and I was like, either minimum. And I said, I can either do this or I can have a social life. So it wasn't, once the cross country season ended, I'm like, that's it, I'm going to start. So I tried drinking, and I went out that night. Regulars, I'm probably going to hear the story a million times, so I'll tell it quick. But I went out that night to a dance or just a club. And the next morning I said to a couple females, I'll never forget, I said, oh my God, last night was so fun. I was talking to anybody and everybody. And they looked at me and said, have you ever drank before? And I said, oh yeah, absolutely. But no,
Sure, yeah.
never. And they even said it
Yeah.
more like, have you ever drank before? Never imagining. And I said, oh yeah, I should have even then. Now I'm Mr. So honest. I should have been like, no, actually, can you believe it? It was the first time I ever drank.
Yeah.
And then the first time I ever did shots, nobody warned me. And this was probably within a week, but they had a school dance. Nobody warned me that they take a little bit to really kick in.
Yep.
And I was doing SoCo, Southern Comfort shots.
SoCo and lime.
Yeah, in this case, just straight old SoCo. I'll
Straight
never
SoCo.
forget. I don't
Yeah.
think I've been able to drink it since.
Oof.
I think I can still smell it. And who knows? I want to say 9 shots, but I could be exaggerating. But whatever it was, I threw up, never made it to the dance. I'll never forget this woman, Sheila Estes. Hopefully she's listening. She stayed and babysat me, at least till she knew I was okay. I'll never forget. I was not even, my room was 3 down, but I couldn't even get to my room. And I was on the lower bunk of another guy's bed, and she was nursing me, throwing up in a bucket. I got to message her right now. I'm not even sure.
You gotta cook her dinner, man.
I do. They just married with children, but I do owe her dinner. Yeah, does not. I know that doesn't. Cooking dinner should not imply that. But what should you say? I should buy her dinner. I got to take her out.
Buy her dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. I just. I assume that was a reference to the stories earlier. Which But I used it as a social tool ever since. I never really even came to. I don't think I ever enjoyed it. Never really loved the flavor. I never really drank beer because it wasn't efficient enough, other than at sporting events. And now I love beer. I'm like, oh, no wonder or NA beer. Like, no wonder people love this, and at the risk of triggering people, but it shouldn't trigger. And drink NA,
Yeah.
I've never tried NA wine. I've heard mixed reviews on that.
Awful.
I hated wine anyway. What am I talking about? You know what I just remembered? And it's funny how most podcasts just interview the guest. That I hope I warned you enough. I said, your role as the guest is really to make me entertaining.
Yeah.
But no, I want to share the mic, and I have that sensor going off. But I got to tell you, I went to a wine tasting class in Boston, and everyone else, I felt like I was the only one. They just encouraged you to take one sip because we were trying a bunch of wines, and then you poured then you poured the rest, maybe 2 even, and then you poured the rest into a pitcher. I was filling that. I was not pouring anything back.
Yeah.
And I would even look around and even try to refill my thing, and we would drink a lot of wine. So I'd start off. I really wanted to learn. I'm taking notes. And then by the 3rd or 4th wine, it was all over. And I'm having daydreams of what I'm going to do with my life. But yeah.
No, I tried the NA wine a couple weeks ago. It's called FRE, free. I think just tasted like grape juice. Didn't really do it for me.
Right.
But I think a lot of these NA brands, like I said, I drink the Athletic a lot. My wife got me a subscription for my birthday.
Nice.
They're doing a really good job with the marketing and the advertising. Like they're brewing IPAs, double IPAs, lagers, stouts. Like they're giving you a lot of options, and they're making them so they taste like beer. And so for me, it really has felt like a good replacement for it.
Yeah, and here's a question you probably, I don't know if you, do they make draft? What should, yeah,
I
I don't
don't,
know. Do you know that?
not a clue.
Yeah.
I never drank drafts, man.
Oh, really? I was a
Not a
draft
draft
guy.
guy. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I've,
Kathy, not to scare off your people, but I never knew what it was going to do to my digestive tract the next day. You never knew how clean the lines were at the bars I went to. You're just like, let me get a bottle or a can.
yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's, you just reminded me, you were talking about going to Japan, and when I go out I take my nephew to teppanyaki or hibachi, most call it, but I've learned the official name is teppanyaki. Hibachi is actually the name of the grill.
Okay.
But it's come to be adopted as the name of the thing. So we go out, when they do that, they'll squirt sake.
Yep.
They go around the table and they'll squirt it into your mouth. And A, I used to feel almost embarrassed that I had to always say no. And then B, I take pride in it. But then for kids, they'll squirt water. But I won't even do that because I'm always like, I don't know where that water's been. But my nephew did it last time and I was kind of cringing. I'm like, dude, I mean, you're not going to die of it. So I can hear the old people from that. But still, it's like my niece, I laugh and I want to post this on Instagram. My gym has one of those filtered water machines.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even mean to say filtered because allegedly filtered. If it doesn't have a filtered showing and when it was last changed, my niece is like, I'm not drinking that. And my gym and some airports don't say that. So yeah, unless I know it's been recently filtered, I'm like, forget about it.
Dude, you would not do well down here in Florida.
Yeah.
The water sitch ain't great. And then like I don't know, we moved into a house and I have no idea with our water filter, but the thing's going off every 3 days, but we haven't replaced it. So, but no tap water down here. I'd probably drink the sake out of the bottle before I drink the tap down here, though.
Oh, I was going to say for the people still drinking, I had heard, they do those undercover reports, like how gross hotel sheets are. Well, I heard that lemons and limes in bars are just
disgusting.
Yeah, disgusting. Yeah. Although I've still now and then will even get one with you can't buy. This drives me bananas. Actually, we're talking about. So I drink sparkling water. I drink mainly lemon. Sparkling water. Doesn't matter what Poland Spring, whatever. Store brand, although I prefer Polar, I guess. And but in a restaurant, they only ever have plain, and I really love it. So your only choice is to load it with lemons or limes. So occasionally I'll do that. But yeah, that drives me crazy. They don't just sell flavored sparkling water.
Man, that's a first world problem.
Yeah, fine. Although, in general, places need to step up.
Yeah,
NA
absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what I do? I had my college reunion at a brewery a year and a half or so ago, and I brought my own kombucha. I put it in Gatorade bottles because I knew they weren't breweries. And that's why I asked about athletic. The breweries, it's all their own anyway. But
yeah,
I was thinking, I guess they don't want to brew an NA beer, but they could still offer it. Anyway,
I don't know.
You ever drink kombucha?
Yep. Yeah, I do. I like I can't remember the name of it, Synergy or something, but
Synergy, yeah. Wegmans sells big bottles of it. Though my local Wegmans went under. They was in a mall.
Did they?
Yeah, it was only because of the location. Because Wegmans.
It's probably because they didn't hire you as the seafood guy, man.
You know what? That could be. It could be, but. No, it was a shame. The parking sucked.
I got a job with Pasco County. They're the county north of us, and their Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department. They have there's like 35 parks, bunch of different preserves, summer camp, and so I'm doing social media, digital media, website work, all that good stuff to draw attention to all the great stuff that Pasco County has to offer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Little less dark and grim than the sheriff's office.
True.
A lot less dead bodies.
Yeah. Oh, I know you shared a few.
Yep.
Some clips here and there, man. It's crazy. Yeah. So, but hey, you are doing service. So if they are listening, you are doing service. And let's kick that up right now because you said a couple things slightly concerned me, about if the Bills ever won, you might drink. And then I thought you were contradicting me when I said, "Hey, if this guy's a Bills fan, and if he can remain sober," and you said, "No." And I actually thought you were going to say, "No, it wasn't hard to stay sober because once you do get a lot of days under you, it does become a lot easier. So, and so I do want to remind you, because that voice is always lurking.
Oh
Every
yeah.
day we don't drink, it gets weaker, we get stronger, but it's always ready to pounce, usually
Mhm.
on weakness, but it also pounces on celebration.
Mhm.
You know, Jay Chase, reframe coach, had the greatest line. He said, you know, people kept talking about slipping when good things happen. He said, y'all need a new way to celebrate. And it's so true. I first
Yeah.
slipped when I got on reframe. I had a little mini intervention from my mother and sister. I guess it was a regular intervention, but just two of them. Um, and I didn't even think about drinking for 63 days. And then I had this incredibly tough, successful day at the pizza shop, and I freaking drank. So anyway, I got
Well,
to remind.
Kathy, I think it starts with you see F1 drivers and they're popping champagne up on the podium after they've won. Actually, that's a sport that I think's done a really good job of advertising the Heineken Zeros, and I feel like that's a sponsor of all of their events. But Super Bowl, you're just seeing them pop champagne. Like it's just they share photos of the bar tabs afterwards, and I know when the Bruins won the cup, they shared the bar tab, and it was like $150,000. So it's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, we need to find a new way to celebrate, but this seems to be the way that people are most comfortable and has been ingrained in us for so long, man.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I would hope, and now it's going to be at least a year, so you'll be so much stronger.
Oh
But
yeah.
even if they
Yeah.
won this year, man, got to remind you, it's so crazy, especially if you're not in community, which you told me before and you alluded to. You're
Yeah.
not actively sharing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's huge. And this isn't a lecture, but I think one reason I gave in after 3.5 years, the only one that knew my sobriety date and anniversaries was my girlfriend, who I broke up with. Even my family, who I had a big rock bottom with, still took me a year to quit. I never even officially declared to them that I had quit. It was never talked about. Even since I had this intervention now 2.5 years ago, they did no follow up. You know, my therapist laughed. She's like, "I've never heard of an intervention with no follow up." And I
No
said,
way.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about as Irish as you can get."
Yeah.
But
I would have thought
sorry,
Capello. I would have thought Capello was Italian, man.
it's very. I am half and half. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
officially half and half, and I completely take after my mother's Irish half. And I
Yeah.
say, I mean, 98%. I'll give my father credit for my sense of humor, but that's about the only thing I take after him. I don't think literally one other thing. And my father's as Italian as he could be, both Italian parents, and my mother's as Irish as can be, both Sullivans, in fact. So
Mm-mm.
my grandmother didn't even have to change her maiden name.
Yeah.
And they were just, so it's completely in the family. And
That's wild.
here's my proof. You know, it's not always genetic. I think they say 50, 60% of alcoholism is genetic. My brother and sister, who remember used to love sipping my father's
Yeah.
drinks in high school, they completely take after the Italian side. My sister got drunk sick in college, barely drunk since. But when she
Yeah.
does, like she used to have an occasional mudslide. She does not have the gene, bottom line, but she never drinks. And my brother didn't drink, I want to say, till he was 30,
Really.
and actually became a bartender. And he has a fully stocked bar at home, and he drinks like a normal person. And my father can take it or leave it, to the
Really.
point he has Bloody Marys at breakfast and doesn't drink the rest of the day.
Wow.
And other days he'll have one drink with my mother
Mhm.
at night.
Mhm.
It's insane.
I
But
I am envious of people like that who can just have one. If I
yep,
that's the ultimate, I feel like.
yeah, we don't
But
get it. And
nope.
and hopefully people have heard me say, just in case, we just process alcohol differently. I think it's so comical, for lack of a better word, the people that think we all process it the same and we just lack willpower, you
I
know?
think I
And
think that's another thing. I don't know how many times I said that's been the hard thing for me, but that's been another hard thing for me is when I have the discussion with my friends. I think most of them have been like super proud of that process, but they're like, can't you just have like one, or can't you just stop, or why can't you just stop? And I'm like, I don't know why I can't. I just know that I can't.
yep. And I do know why you can't, and we can get into that, or you can watch my videos. Um, but the one particular on the neuroscience, I mean, it is, our brains are just wired differently. And this woman said, the scientist, she said, if only we could scan all our brains. You could tell from a brain scan. Unfortunately, it's not affordable, but we could know. our brains light up differently. They would, and that's how can they tell? They would show us. Sorry, randomly my cousin in London is trying to FaceTime me. I always get the most random calls while I'm recording a podcast. It's uncanny. But they would show us an addictive substance like alcohol, and our brains would light up completely different than a normal drink. We just have different reward systems. We're just wired differently, and it's fascinating. And then that one on the neuroscience talks about what the voice is, which is really the neural pathway that we built up that thinks alcohol is the answer to everything. And glutamate writes down every time that alcohol worked for us. And that's why when we get triggered, it searches our files in our brain to come up with a justification for us to drink and give us permission. And once we get permission, willpower goes out the window, and that's how it all works. And normal drinkers don't have that. So yeah, back to your friends. My goal is to even get them, even normal people watching my videos, to educate them, because my greatest analogy, I'm the only one I've ever heard come up with, is so good. I have the cilantro gene that literally turns the taste of cilantro into soap. Do you like cilantro?
Love it.
See? And most do. So how perfect is this? If I say I don't like it, and maybe you didn't know this, you'd be like, how do you not love it? It's the greatest thing. And I'd say it tastes like soap. And you'd be like, it doesn't taste like soap. It's so good. And I found out it's a gene that I think around 30% of people have that changes the flavor to soap. And that's what it is. It is. And yes, not alcoholics, genetic. You can drink yourself into alcoholism, but it ends up changing your reward system in the same fashion, basically. So,
dude, I hate to break it to you though, but you're missing out on cilantro. You're missing out, man. It's great.
I've Googled what's it taste like, and it does sound fantastic. Yeah. I know. Not only am I missing out, but when I go, and I really don't eat fast food anymore, after my pizza shop, I hate to scare people. I just realized how many times you can do the wrong thing. You know, we were incredibly sanitary, but there's plenty that aren't, especially if they don't like their boss. My people all love me. But I used to go to Taco Bell on my way home from golf, tipsy all the time, and I can't even imagine the crap I put into my system. But when I go to Chipotle, they have to go in a back room to get rice without cilantro.
No way.
And anywhere I go, Mexican or whatever, I have to be like, no cilantro, no cilantro. And then half the time it still seems to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
That's
tough. I love the analogy. And another one I have that I rarely talk about is pot. I don't love it anyway, but I can take one hit of pot and be good for hours. Whereas my friends with pot disorder, as I'll call it, hit after hit after hit, you know, and it's crazy. So it's the same thing as people that could have one or two drinks and be good for hours, which to us is magic. So it's crazy. So back to the service thing. You can't ever drink again. The greatest line this woman said, why do I keep doing the hard part over and over? So you've done the hard part.
Yeah. No.
You don't want to ever do it again, man.
Yeah.
Ever.
I'm excited to, I think, I've always been like, when do I post it onto like my bio in Twitter, like sober as of this date or whatever. So I've been saving it for a year. And I think once I hit a year is when I'll like outwardly promote it on social and say that I'm sober. But I feel like for me, the block has been, you've got to get to a year before you say, and I think I've even talked with you about that. You're like, no, you're sober right now, Phil. Like, you're great. And for me, there's some type of mental block in my head that's like, you've got to make it a year.
It does bug me a little bit because the more you declare, the more accountable you are. You know, the more people that know. When I was in the pink cloud, when I first quit after that intervention, and I know we're 2 more minutes, after that, I went during that 63 days, I was about 30 days in. I was out for a run. I was in the pink cloud, which you probably know, but others, it's that euphoria. You feel in the early days of sobriety, though, I'm going pink cloud for life. And my buddy Tom, who was the first podcast, his handle actually on Insta is pink cloud life. But anyway, I was out on a run and said, I'm going to put on the chalkboard at the pizza shop how many sober days I have. And I actually got misty just thinking about it, and I never did it. And, you know, I said I drank on day 63, and I probably wouldn't have, because I would have, their customers would have come to have known and given me kudos, and I wouldn't have wanted to have to reset that. And same with declaring on a sober community. If you were on, and that, again, not a lecture there, but if you were though, and then you had to show up tomorrow, you'd be double looking forward to your year because man, people are already so excited for me being 20 days away.
Yeah.
I do think it helps. And even more, just talked about this on a video came out in person. Literally just did a YouTube on AA meeting that this guy 9 months in, his wife died. And I think if he hadn't been going to in-person AA meetings, because they would have come after him in a nice way. But if he didn't show up, and then if he knew he had to come back and face those people. So
I think, you wanted the chalkboard. It could have been like, it's been 63 days since your last accident or whatever,
Yeah, no, that's good. I thought of something like that, and I can't remember. I'm going to come up with it for the next podcast. But what did I want to say about the declaring is just, again, the 3.5 years that I had, I can't imagine having wanted to lose that. Again, I was declaring that to nobody after I broke up with a girl. How many days with that? I was well over 1,000 days. That's a big one to celebrate. The comma, they call it, when you hit 1,000 days.
Shit. Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. I never would have given that up. And I gave it up easily. It was I'd already made it through the hard part of the night. It was a date. And I'd already made it through all the awkward phases of the date. And it was actually when we went out after this dinner that it was in the back of my mind. Story for another day, but I just thought I could try drinking normally again. So, well, that's it, man. We have a lot more to cover. So I'm going to sign you up for as soon as you can come back.
Yeah. Listen, dude, you should be proud though of all the work you're doing, man. I feel like you exude authenticity on social media, which is tough nowadays. And I know you hold the phone up and you're like, hey, my mom's wondering where I've been or whatever. I got to post this so she knows I'm around. But, you're inspiring a lot of people with what you're doing. So you should be proud of yourself, man.
I appreciate that. I really do. And it's funny. My mother said, I'm probably not going to listen to your podcast because I don't like to have headphones on or earphones. And I was kind of relieved. And then she ended up saying, I found a pair that I really like. So I'm like, okay, here we go. So I'll be giving mother trigger warnings as we progress.
I didn't swear too much today, so.
No, that was good. And I'm glad you didn't because not only I'm not a big swear. Well, I don't think I am. And then friends say I am when I'm not watching. But it turns out it affects the algorithms and stuff. I was talking about some childhood trauma and I'm afraid to even say it, but I used the word BOOBS.
Oh, okay.
And my marketing guy goes, dude, that hurts the algorithm. He's like, you can't even say that. And I said the word CRAP, just that word. And Instagram auto bleeped it. I just happened to listen back I just did a 90-second reel and I listened back and I said, oh my God, they bleeped that word. So yeah.
Well, I said that's HIT like in the last 10 minutes. So you might have to cut that out.
All right. Well, I am shelling out for an editor, so I am making negative money. So we'll end on this in case we just make this, probably will, just the first one. I'm supposed to always end saying, please like, share, subscribe. I do hope to make money off this someday. And, it almost sounds, people don't like to hear that. What are you, profiting off of people's sobriety? But it's like, hey, I want to do this full time and save lives. And it's the only way I can do it. People are like, podcasts you can do in your spare time. But it's like, no, I need every minute I can, man. The research is endless. It's endless, man. It's crazy. So
a lot of competition too in the podcast space. So whenever you get around to posting and sharing, let me know when it goes live.
Yeah, will do. And my handle's everywhere. Sober Cappy on YouTube and Instagram. And yes, Cappy Hour. Well, by the time people are hearing this, it'll be released. But and say your Insta handle one more time.
My last name Martello16.
All right, good stuff. All right, thanks, buddy. And we'll talk soon. And just stay on here for like 30 seconds, just sort of. Well, I'm sorry, I'll hit stop. So actually, let's say our goodbye first. All right. We're going to edit that part. So I'm just going to say that again in a second.
Yeah.
So, all right, buddy. Thanks again, especially for the extra time. Remember, stronger, sober.
As Josh Allen said, be good, do good. God bless, go Bills.
Love it. All right. Peace out.
Later, man.
See ya. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Phil will be back in a few weeks or so with part 2. Couple quick notes. I loved him saying dread in the bed for waking up with a hangover. I didn't even ask, did he come up with it? I just Googled it. Didn't seem to come up anywhere, but I do love that, dread in the bed. There's one part where I mentioned the legal limits being 0.5 and 0.8. That should be 0.08 and 0.05. Big difference there, just for the sticklers. And I talked about at one point about how I used to chug beer, but correction, I never chugged beer because it just wasn't efficient enough. It was too filling. I only ever chugged wine and or vodka, but do not recommend you try either of those at home. Otherwise, it's Phil then was a few months shy of a year, at least. He's now at a year and a half, going strong. I was a little worried about him because he doesn't actively share in community, doing a ton of things of the work. But, as people often say, some people have to go to meetings for life and be in community for life, and some don't. It's different for everybody. The key is if you don't, you've got to get your community elsewhere, which Phil certainly does with his marriage, with his baby, with his job. Gets his dopamine hits. Certainly a new baby's great for that. And he communicates well, including, with me. So it's very important. I'm going to do actually a whole video on that. So I personally plan to attend. We'll even open my own community and host meetings for life because I do love that form of community, although I try to get that in the real world as much as possible. But also I'm single, so it's a big difference as well, and where you can be more isolated and definitely need online community more. So different for everyone, and you also got to get your dopamine hits elsewhere. And if you don't, that's another big reason to attend meetings and especially to share. So speaking of which, just a quick update for those following as of, if you're seeing this now, even if you're seeing this well in the future, I think it's funny to see what I'm up to at this point. So as of early December 25, I have soft launched my coaching business. I did my first coaching call last week. It went great. I loved it. Definitely feel like I have a calling for that and can help keep anyone sober if they do the work with me. And I have a follow-up with him today I'm excited about. And then I'm going away for vacation over Christmas and New Year's. As soon as I get back, plan to launch my recovery, sobriety, ADD/community, as well as expand my coaching business, which is going to have a one-on-one component, but also a group coaching component as well, which they say is actually as much, if not more effective. So enough about me. Thanks as always for listening. I talked a little more than I planned to on that one. Phil was a great host of me, and I hope you'll stay tuned. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, and please consider a review. It really helps. Peace.